to the Ask Me How I Know show. I'm your host, Julie Hulley, and I'm so excited you're here. Ask Me How I Know is the only podcast in the multifamily niche replicating what takes place outside the walls of a seminar. Remember when we used to get together like that? This is like the lobby where honest, unscripted conversations take place and transformation happens. We'll talk about practical problem solving in the multifamily niche as well as overcoming mental roadblocks. This episode is brought to you by 3 Keys Investments. 3 Keys Investments is dedicated to helping people like you, you, enter the multifamily investment space to build passive income and legacy wealth. If you haven't already subscribed and reviewed Ask Me How I Know, I'd be honored if you did. Thanks so much for joining me today, and now for our featured guest. Hey, welcome back to Ask Me How I Know. Today we have a phenomenal guest, as always, but oh my gosh, I'm so excited to introduce you to George. Thanks, George, so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, we could go into, as always, all the credentials of our guests and all their successes. And I mean, if you know anything about George with Elevate, you can just Google it and I'll have links in there. You were just crushing things, and I love watching your Facebook feed because you're taking everything to an entirely new level. But that didn't just happen, and we wanted to talk about some of the steps that got you to where you are.
Yeah, I mean, I wish it would have just happened from one day to the next, but no, it's been a grind, a lot of work put in. I guess, do you want me to start from the beginning or?
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do this in like a little more of a hodgepodge style right now.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun. You found out at one moment, you found out that you were spread too thin.
Yes.
And I was really curious because a lot of investors, I mean, we hustle, we grind, we have the a lot of people have their W-2 and then, they're doing this as a side gig to quit their W-2, and all of that amount of work, they're used to working that hard and being spread thin. So this is going to really help out a lot of listeners in that regard. So I'm curious the moment, like your aha moment of, oh my gosh, I'm spread too thin. Or was it even an aha moment?
I mean, I can't think of like the 1 second when that happened, but it was probably around 4 years ago. 3.5, 4 years ago. The construction company was running full force. We were buying and fixing and selling 50 plus houses a year, plus wholesaling. This was single family. And then we were about 15 million in sales on the construction company. So, I mean, I had a sales team on the roofing side of so I had the construction company. I had 2 divisions within the construction company, which was the roofing and then the renovations and new construction. I didn't say no a lot, which is probably the first problem. And just every day, from the second I got up, it was just a constant grind, and I didn't really have much time to work on the businesses. It was more of just the day-to-day and managing my team and then getting involved if there was an escalation so at some point I just said that there's got to be a better way to do this. Going on vacations was like dreadful. Like we didn't want to go on vacations because, my wife also worked with me, and it was just nonstop. Our phone wouldn't stop ringing. So I kind of stepped back, and that's when I started looking more into multifamily because I felt like I could build something more long-term, more cash flow coming in, versus what I was currently doing. It was very transactional, one deal to the next. And that's when I started, learning and getting educated on multifamily, and then spent a lot of time underwriting until finally I felt like I had gained enough knowledge and started going for it.
This is a common scenario, I think, where people don't even realize that they're overworked, and they don't realize that they're in, I don't know if this shoe fits, but that reactive mode, or it's like, I can't even dream and vision, do vision planning for our business because I'm just reacting to everything that is coming my way.
Yeah. And I mean, I didn't mention, but I mean, that was like 10 years of that, it was just,
I'm wondering, as you're reflecting back, 10 years, that is a long time. And that is a toll on your physical being. Can you talk? I mean, could you feel that physically? Was it just mental? How was that affecting you?
No, physically and mentally. I mean, I'm one that likes to get up and work out first thing. I feel like I'm more productive when I do that. And I mean, I would attempt to do that and I would just get so stressed thinking about the day and what I had to accomplish. And I mean, there were times where I would just walk out and start working, or I couldn't stay off the phone. I wasn't even working out. So it definitely crossed over to the physical side, and mentally it was pretty draining.
It's amazing the spiral effect that this can have on lives, and it's one thing. You have these great intentions of, I'm building this great business, and next thing you know, it's like quicksand just sucking you down.
Right.
But although it's a successful business, so did you have to redefine, what was that moment like? Was there a definition of redefining what success is or what my goals are? How did you turn the ship around?
Yeah, I kind of it started with me first. So, I had to sit down and kind of think about it and actually step away from the business for a little bit. I had to train my team to kind of not come to me with everything, and follow certain procedures. And so that took a little bit. And then when I started freeing up more of my time, that's when I started looking at, okay, which investment deals are the best? Which ones can I get done with maybe less overhead and that are still profitable? Same thing with the clientele on the construction side. We had started going into doing a lot of custom work for homeowners. It's great work and we love doing it, but it just takes a lot of time. So we started setting our goals and who our client was going to be. So we decided, on the construction end, we're going to go after commercial and multifamily investors and owners. We completely cut out anything residential. And then on the investment side, no more single families. And just at first we were going to do both. And eventually I decided to just cut out single family altogether and just go after multifamily.
Wow. Okay. So cool that you can almost like do a win-win as you start tailoring one business more towards multifamily, taking your roofing business. Did you get any residual off of that? Just as an aside question, I'm like, wow, it seems like, oh, you're getting ready to sell. Well, I would love to buy this. Any great situations like that kerplop on your lap?
No, so I mean, that was another thing I thought about doing was selling the construction company altogether and possibly just doing the multifamily investments. But then, I thought of the reason I opened the construction company was to help with the investments. So all I really did there was just change the focus of the company. Yeah, nothing like that.
And that's really, I love the intention that you put behind it. And it doesn't require a massive rebranding process or anything. It's just a matter of when you're answering the calls, if I'm correct, then it's, oh, well, do you, refer it out to somebody else or do something?
Yeah, we like to not leave, somebody, especially, we've had repeat clients and they're calling us because they've got a new single family home that they're investing in and they want to flip it. And now we got to tell them, well, we don't do that anymore. Sorry.
Oh, that's so tough. When our flooring guy told us, he's like, I took this job because I really like working with you guys, but this is my last job. I'm like, oh no, that really stings. It stings
Yeah.
on the consumer end of things. Were there any nerves? How did you feel going into, kind of shifting gears? And basically you're saying, okay, this income stream is something that I'm going to say no to.
Yeah, it's definitely nervous about it and we knew on both ends, the investments and the construction company, that going the commercial multifamily route, there's going to be a larger gap between paydays. So we weren't going to have that much cash flow until we kind of built up the clientele and the portfolio. So yeah, it was pretty nerve-wracking, but we felt like we had enough cash reserves and yeah, enough to make it happen.
It takes a lot of strength, to refocus. And what was it as you reevaluated your goals? I mean, how did that serve you well? How did it serve you? Maybe not well.
Yeah, no, it
I'm
definitely served
assuming.
me. It gave me the freedom to spend a little more time on what I'm more passionate about versus just being stuck in the day to day. I can actually spend more time on building the business and on multifamily in general. So yeah, it's definitely worked out well.
A lot of times people say it's, if you're doing something that you're passionate about, then everything else will fall into line, and pursue your passions and everything. Has that proven true for you, that adage?
Yes and no. I mean, it takes more than just that, but I think it's a necessary component. Like it's definitely helped me keep pushing and stay motivated because I enjoy what I do and I'm passionate about it. But there's definitely other aspects and other things that you need to do to be successful at what you're passionate about.
Yeah, passion isn't enough to keep it going through the
No.
turbulent times, the tests. um, so I'm curious, you're in business with your wife and you said that it started with you, and how did that work? I always think of a person as, we all have these ripple effects in us, so it started with you, and then what happened?
Yeah, so then I needed to sell my wife on it. No, discuss it with my wife
Right.
and
I don't know, sometimes there is selling involved.
yeah, there's always selling involved, but yeah.
Grant
um,
Cardone, right? He would say, sell or be sold. We're always selling something.
yep, yep. So that's the first step, and then it was my team. Get my team on board, evaluate my team, and see who's gonna stay and who's not. I'll be completely frank. The volume is a little bit less when you're dealing with it multifamily commercial. They're bigger projects, but we're not selling as much, just bigger projects. So there were some decisions that needed to be made there, and then just getting everybody else on board. I mean, I've had staff that's been with me for a long time, so I had sold them on the vision, my past vision. So now I needed to say, you know what, we've reevaluated this, and this is actually the direction we're going to go in. And then, yeah, once everybody got on board, it was great.
That is interesting. It's such an opportunity as people are released from positions. I always notice it, with the right people, it really ends up opening opportunities in their lives for them to pursue something more. I could even see somebody in this industry, in your previous industry, going out and starting their own roofing company for single family.
Yeah.
Never know. As we're talking about some of those changes within your office, it sounds like a lot of parenting going on. I won't lie, just since I have children and
Yeah.
you have children, I think how often we have to teach our children the systems and how to do different things. How was that learning process for everybody? And is there any advice that you would give to listeners on going through that?
Yeah.
Sticker charts? I'm
No,
kidding.
no.
I'm totally
Don't.
kidding.
I mean, a lot of the things that you read on this subject, I mean, look, hire slow, fire fast. That's like 100% accurate. At the same time, you want to make sure you have the tools to provide and give them a chance to be successful, because if not, then it's more on you than them. And yeah, create those systems and procedures before you're there. Before you have a staff of 20 plus, create those systems and procedures, then bring in the staff. And grow organically versus then kind of pushing it.
Now, did you have to create those systems and procedures
Did
or
I
revamp them?
personally have to, or just in general?
The company, was that one of the growing pains right there?
Oh yeah, that's always, to me, that's one of the toughest things when building a business, and that's why there's so many businesses that don't survive. Honestly, I think that's one of the things. They don't have set systems and procedures. And there's a lot more that goes into it, depending on what the business is. But
yeah, well, if people know the path that they can, to follow to be successful for what's going on within the company, and if they can just swap hats because they know, oh, well, that needs to get done, and here's a procedure on how to do it, it
yeah,
definitely lends itself to a lot of collaboration and teamwork.
for sure. And you don't get stuck with so and so isn't here, so nobody knows how to do that. So
That's
it should never be that way.
That's a really rough situation to be in. Wow.
Hmm.
So somebody's listening right now and they're identifying with what you're saying. They're like, wow, I am reacting. I can tell that I'm in this quicksand that's sucking me down. And I know I thought I knew where I wanted to go. I mean, what advice would you give to someone that was where you were 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, it's got to be a slow process. So one is being aware. So if you're now aware, that's great.
First step,
That's
number one.
yes, you can check that one off. So the second step is knowing it's probably going to be a little slow, the process. And I would probably start with scheduling some time on your calendar, blocking a couple hours a week, however many hours you can afford, to work on actually the business. Whether you decide, okay, I'm gonna start doing my systems and procedures. I'm gonna start with this. We'll block that time off every week, and then keep working at it. If it's goals, then sit down, and if you haven't done your goals for years, I mean, you need to start there, and then just don't get trapped. Don't get trapped in the day to day.
It's really easy to get comfortable and then to grow complacent in the day to day. It's
Hmm.
familiar. I know how to do this, and
Yeah,
I can find comfort in I think a lot of people get into this. I'm being productive because I'm doing something, but are you
right.
actually doing something that's propelling your vision forward?
Correct. Just checking your emails and replying, it's not enough.
You mean just networking and checking emails isn't enough? Come on.
No,
Right?
no, only get you so far.
Right, exactly. Well, you have built up a phenomenal business. And as I watch your brand continue to grow, I love your marketing, by the way. It's
Thank you.
beautiful, and it's a beautiful marketing, but you can also see the vision of larger in life and where you are, which is already amazing. And it's just, I can see this path of greatness just continuing. So as I look
Thank
at
you.
that, seriously, it's phenomenal, and it's been really fun to watch. And as you're looking forward, where does this vision go? You conquered that. You were resuscitated, if you will. And now you have this new, awakening, and you've been successful. You're starting to flourish. Where does it continue on?
I want to keep growing it, like I said, organically, the way I've been doing it goal wise. I mean, our goal is to reach 10,000 units, was by the end of next year, but I think we've kicked it out one more year now because of COVID. And then once we get there, I mean, there's just like the construction company, there's a lot of different aspects within multifamily that we can add on and kind of bring in-house. Don't want to get spread too thin again though, so we're gonna take it.
I was actually just
Uh,
going to do a follow-up and say, like, so, okay, but I will. So how are you going to prevent being spread too thin again? You've been there, done that. So what keeps you in check moving forward?
it's having the proper systems and having a system to manage it all. Having the right team, having the systems in place, that's what will allow us to continue to grow.
Do you think as you go forward, let me backtrack that question for a second. As you
Hmm.
think about the impact of COVID on your goals, you mentioned, well, maybe we'll extend our goals out. I say maybe because your ambition just comes through all the marketing. And so I'm like, I don't know that they're slowing you down. I don't know that COVID could slow you down, really. But, but I also think that I understand the prudence in that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wisdom there. Some people would say, oh, boo-hoo. And I don't mean to make light of it, oh, boo-hoo, COVID, I can't do what I want. I'm going to, go in the corner. Like, what keeps you going instead of and seeking opportunity instead of wallowing a little bit?
Yeah, I don't allow myself to get complacent. Like if at any point I feel comfortable, I know I'm not doing something right. Like I need to live in the uncomfortable. Now I see this as an opportunity. I know there's going to be a lot of sleepers out there, and they're going to be, like you said, sitting in the corner complaining. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find those opportunities while they're doing that. And you're right. Maybe I do get there by the end of next year. I don't know.
I won't lie. I'm like, you're positioned so well. With depending on how things play out, I could see you very much accomplishing your goals and more, because I know you have strategy and and you're very smart about how you go about things. So
Thank you.
as you think about those strategies, what would be some of your strategies? What strategies are you currently using during this interesting time that we're in, business
Yeah.
wise, or?
Yeah. So, I mean, we've had to adjust some things. We were very focused on heavy value add deals. Those are the deals that I like the most. We can leverage our construction company. We can come in, do all the CapEx, instantly increase the value of the property. So we've kind of had to turn that. Financing has been rough on those type of deals. So we're going after more stabilized deals than what we usually do. Still looking for where we can add value and, still not overpaying for properties, which I feel like is still happening out there. But
I just saw it happen on a deal I was underwriting last week, and I'm like, how are these people? I'm scared for you.
yes,
That's where I'm at. I'm scared for these
no,
people.
I've said that a few times. Some of these, just had a broker tell me something about, why are you looking at the price per unit? And it's like, I mean, why are you not? I mean, you've got to look at the price per unit. If I can build this for less than I can buy it, and we're talking about a C-class property, why am I don't know. At some point, obviously, you got to focus on your purchase price. You can't just ignore it. I understand it's multifamily and it's based off the business and what the business produces as far as income, but yeah, it's also in a lot of projections, which, yeah, we all know what can happen with projections.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that when things don't perform, that doesn't work out for anyone. All the benefits that we love about being, great for our investors and for the community and for the residents, it's like it all implodes.
Yes.
Well, until someone else like us comes and swoops it up and takes care of it.
There you go. Those are the opportunities we're looking for.
Exactly. We'll take the abandoned, the orphaned.
Yep.
As you're moving forward, do you have any advice or tips that you'd say, I would stay away from this, or I would continue to go down this path? Any advice for people as they are trying to propel their businesses forward in their markets?
Don't try to take on more than you can handle is one, especially if you're really focused on scaling. One really bad deal can derail you for a long time. Set your systems and procedures, like I said before, and then follow them. Don't. Yes, you may have to make adjustments at times. Like I just said, we adjusted our criteria, but once it's adjusted, then follow it. Don't push something through just because you want to get to a certain amount of units or you want to get to a certain amount of whatever it is. And yeah, just be careful on that end.
It's almost like don't be so focused on your goal that you miss out on these micro steps that get you to the goal. You mess
Right.
up on those, you're not going to get to your goal.
Right.
When I was a classroom teacher, we used to always have the mantra of monitor and adjust. Like, you know where you want to go, but you have to keep your finger on the pulse and make sure you're adjusting it accordingly.
Right.
A lot like sailing, right?
Yes. I think Gary Vee says, I can't remember exactly what it is, but something about loving the system or the grind versus the goal.
Yes. Yes. And I like keep kind of getting distracted because I see traction in the background.
Yes.
And that so goes with everything that you were saying.
Yep.
Has that book been a good influence?
Oh yeah, it's been amazing. I still have a bunch to implement. But yeah, I mean, you asked how I plan on adding, different businesses or, manage all of that. And it's implementing a system,
Yeah.
mainly EOS or something of that nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing what can be accomplished just by having a system. It's almost like at the airport when you are on the little people mover type thing, like just hop on and go. It works out really well.
Right.
George, I really appreciate your time and your willingness to share a bit about your story. Is there anything else before we go that you would like to share with our guests?
Anything else? I don't know. We talked about focus. We talked about systems. We even talked about passion. Put it all together. Find what you're passionate about, focus on it, and then create systems to get it done.
It actually really is that simple.
Yeah,
You just really nutshelled it. I mean, like, love it. Love it. If people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
A couple different things. So, I mean, they can go to our website, elevatecig.com. We've got a free ebook on there that goes over investing in multifamily. And then if they want to shoot me an email at George, Jorge, and yes, it's Jorge as well, but I mainly go by George, at elevatecig.com. And they mention this podcast, I will send over a couple free checklists. I've got a due diligence one. I've got also one to ask questions for deal sponsors before you invest. And yeah.
These are great checklists. I am wondering if they can also get the book list. You have a phenomenal book list.
Yeah, they can definitely get that, or it's on our site too, elevatecig.com/books, I believe it is, or you can see it on the website. But yes, thank you. That took a little bit of time to put together.
It did, but I won't lie. It was one of my favorite things. You guys have I mean, you're always creating fantastic little resources, but it's so hard to prioritize. There's so many really great books available to us at this point, and it's hard to prioritize which ones to read. So make sure you get in touch with George and ask for that book list, or hop over to the website and grab it over there. It's fantastic. Well, thanks again, and thank you everyone for listening. And be sure, I always tell the listeners, be sure if George is resonating with you, always go check out his website, go check out if they have any current offerings, because everybody clicks in a different way. And so make sure, if you feel like George is a great fit, go check out what he has to offer. Until next time, go find your freedom. Thanks so much for joining me for another episode of Ask Me How I Know. This episode was brought to you by 3 Keys Investments. They are dedicated to helping people like you, you, my awesome listeners, develop passive income and legacy wealth through multifamily investing. Feel free to check out their website, 3keysinvestments.com, to see if there's an offering that will help your portfolio grow and meet all of your needs. If you haven't already rated, reviewed, subscribed, liked, all of those bells and whistles, I would be absolutely honored if you would do that for Ask Me How I Know. Thanks again, and go make it a great day.